Hi friends, I am Rob here in my basement chambers to show you another game for cardboard. This one's a recent acquirement. This game came off of a Kickstarter. I unfortunately did not back the Kickstarter. I bought the game from a local game store, but they did back the Kickstarter, so they got the Kickstarter expansion, which I was also able to purchase, but it was yeah. So this is a game similar to Massive Darkness, which I've already displayed on cardboard before. This one is called Altarquest. Now, this game is similar to Massive Darkness in some ways. It has a lot of high-resolution, quality plastic miniatures, and they basically facilitate gameplay. Also, it has a lot to do with Hero Quest, as many of the mechanics may seem to be fairly similar. Their use of furniture pieces as features to give you special abilities and powers, they actually took that and gave those function and power and the ability to help you drive the story through. Now, Altarquest is an interesting game in that it's not just a dungeon crawler where you just go into a room, find the monsters, hack the monsters down. You can do that, and there's a certain amount of that happens. But, more to the point, there's a story that unfolds. The game comes with 7 stories, and basically they're quests. Each room unlocks the next step in the quest, and because it's all deck-based, it's random. You don't know what you're going to find when you go into the next room. So, with all those different adventure possibilities, add in the randomizing element of using decks, and you have a fairly high amount of replayability with this game. In addition to that, this really does run without a game master because everything comes off of decks. At the beginning of the game, each player picks a hero that they control. There are 4 of them in the main box. There are several more in the expansion set if you want a change of pace. But the basic ones cover most of the bases and work well together. You have your sorceress spellcaster, you have your halfling thief, who is excellent at all the things that you would think of a halfling thief doing. You have a vampiric knight lady. Knight, vampire. Okay, yeah. And you have a healer. And balanced out, they all have a weakness, they all have their strengths, and their strengths generally tend to cover up each other's weaknesses. By using teamwork, you can take on the challenges, but the more players you have, the more challenges become revealed in every room. Now, not only do you choose the heroes, you choose the adventure, and you also choose the threat that's lined up against you. The basic set has 3 races. If you've seen my unboxing video, you've been familiar with the miniatures themselves, but those figures are the Frocks, who are frogmen, the Raglanders, who are swinemen, basically half pigs, and then you have the Thralls, who are vampires. These creatures together give you, again, another sense of randomness. Because even though each one has a strength and a tendency, especially since all of them have some special thing that makes them more challenging, the Frocks, for instance, with their tainted presence, actually can inflict tokens on you which slow your ability to heal yourself. Can be pretty telling. But all of them have some special ability. And some are obviously going to be better at dealing with that ability than others. You also choose a villain. And the villain's machinations go through the whole game. Every round, by their very nature of being there, the villain does something. And oftentimes the players have to resist some sort of a global effect. This is just by virtue of their presence. And if you are in the dungeon for long enough and that villain deck runs out, then the villain themselves spawn, and they are a very powerful monster. The more heroes there are, the more hit points they have. So it can be a pretty titanic battle if they show up, and some of the quests require you to defeat the villain. So, it's pretty challenging stuff. Now, on top of the ability to choose your character, the ability to choose the quest, the ability to choose the monsters, and the ability to choose the villain, you going through the different rooms, which is a fixed board layout. Again, if you saw the unboxing video, you would see it, and you will see it in this video. Much like Hero Quest, you choose the direction that you travel. You can make it easier on yourself if you're mindful of your overall goal. For instance, if you explore close to the staircase that the adventure starts from, and your end goal requires you to get back to the staircase, it's a lot better than starting on one end of the board, going all the way across, and then needing everybody to run all the way back, possibly being pursued by the villain the whole way. So wise play really helps out. This is a cooperative game. If you're playing with more than one person, you really have to use teamwork and share the resources the group has. Now, there's several different mechanics, which you'll see in gameplay. But here's the thing to remember about this game. There's a lot of moving parts. You need to remember all of the different steps and go through them in order every round. Because if you miss steps, you will possibly cheat yourself out of the difficulty of some things, depending on what you miss, or you might doom yourself to having almost no chance of success if you forget a key point. I myself have played this game 6 times before this one, and I've got the mechanics down pretty well, but I've had a pretty horrible success rate because missing things and not knowing how things activate and how things work, if you don't take advantage of those opportunities, they will bite you in the end. And you may find yourself unable to win, as I have 2 out of the 6 times that I played just completely lost out, and upon hindsight I realized the rules that I missed. A lot of moving parts. It's a little challenging, and if I miss a step or two here or two along the way, I hope you'll forgive me. When a person's playing by themselves, they might tend to get a little bit sloppy about what they've done and what they haven't, but for the most part, once you get the hang of it, the game isn't terribly challenging to keep track of. You just have to remember, everybody gets their steps in an order. Play eventually passes over from phase to phase to phase to phase. You hit all the phases, go along the tracks, make sure you count the effects of all the cards, and you're good. So let's hope that I can dazzle you with my gamesmanship and show you Altarquest. Hello friends, welcome to another cardboard session. Today the game we're covering is Altarquest, a game that survived on Kickstarter and eventually launched, having accomplished a good number of its goals. Today we are going to do a solo adventure. The game promises that it can be done, so we're going to try. And we are going to attempt to show you, to the best light possible, what this game involves, what it is, how it's played, etc., etc. So the game has many moving parts to ensure that it's got a lot of replayability. You make several decisions before you start playing, which unveils the scenario in front of you. So, for instance, in this particular session, we have a number of choices that we made. First of all, we chose the character that we're going to play. Quella. She's a sorceress who's transformed her hands into harpy talons, and she possesses a great deal of magic. But she doesn't wear any armor, so surviving with her might be a little difficult. The quest that we've chosen is The Search, which is a quest looking for a magical artifact which is gathered around the local altar. We have chosen as a threat the Frocks, which are a race of frogmen. Kind of nasty. We'll discuss what their abilities are. And all of these are rendered in beautiful plastic miniatures, too. The leader of the Frocks for this, we've chosen Bulks the Belch Lord. He's a rather grotesque, huge Frox. And it is our sincere hope that we don't have to face him in the dungeon. And those are the decisions that we made before the game even started. There's a few other decisions, though, that we did make. For instance, there's a group of enemies called Lurkers. And they represent all of the other races that you didn't pick as the threat, so that you can get a little bit of variety in your games.
There are also an opportunity to take on folks called rivals, who themselves are about as tough as one of the heroes may be. And I've chosen to take them out because I'm solo playing this. If I had a full group, that might be entertaining, but not for this, no. So we have already shuffled the deck. Now, this game has lots of elements that make it random. So this game can be quite easy, or it can be painfully difficult, to the point of nearly impossible. So, to start with, for Quella's deck, we have 4 cards, which are going to represent the magical spells she starts with. And those spells are what give us some teeth to take on individual foes or accomplish certain tasks. Hers are Searing Blast, which is an attack using her intelligence, which she is the best at. Reclaimed Knowledge, which allows her to test against her intelligence again. And if she succeeds, she can take one of her spell cards from the discard pile and put it into your hand. So, yeah, that's a useful one to get back spells that you've used. Runic Insight, which is a test against her willpower, +1. And for every success, she can change altar dice, which I'll explain as a mechanic in a moment. And then Stone Skin, which allows her to play a card when the enemy within range attacks her. The character gets 2 extra armor tokens before the test. So this is how I can protect myself a little bit. So that is her range of abilities. It's a nice set of abilities. We'll play with those face up because, it's just you and us. Now, Quella starts out with a few advantages. She's very intelligent, and when you roll against something, you use these hero dice, which have a variety of faces. They are either focus, which is not a success, but it allows you to accumulate focus. If you already have focus, which is represented by these blue tokens, of which you can have a maximum of 5, then you can use a focus point to turn a focus die into a success. There are success dice, which look like little starbursts. There is a success and a focus, which shows both facings, a little starburst and the armor cross symbol, meaning you have 1 success and you get a focus point for that, or can spend a focus point to count it as 2 successes. And there's also a critical success, which is a starburst ringed with a circle. That counts as a success, and then you can roll the die again and see what you get. And that gets added to the total. So, potentially, you have no upper limit on how many successes that you can get. You could keep rolling critical successes again and again. These other dice are the altar dice, and they represent the ebb and flow of magic in the dungeon. They have the 4 elemental symbols. That's earth, air, wavy lines, water, drop, and fire, which is a flame lick. They also have light and darkness, shown as a radiant circle and a whirlpool. Those are the different magics, and by using those dice, you can make a better net effect of your magics, but the bad guys can use those too. So sometimes it's a tug of war getting the results you need versus what your enemy might end up using. So with Quella here, she can use 2 weapons. She can use her Harpy Talons, which is an agility attack, and if she uses air magic, 1 mode of air magic, which means I need one of these to be air, and then she would roll that die to see what it comes up to next. But if she does that, it allows her to move up to 2 spaces, getting her away from a potential attacker. The other thing she has are runic scrolls, which allow her to tap it once per round, and she can roll up to 2 altar dice to hopefully change the results. She can also exhaust, use a darkness magic, and she can change 1 other altar die to a result of her choice. So that is really ideal for setting up her magics for maximum effect. She is a character who is very good at helping out the rest of the group by custom picking the magic that they end up having access to, but she can also help herself out, and that's going to be exceptionally important in this dungeon crawl. So each character has 2 pieces of gear they start with that help them out, that basically count as their set abilities and attacks that they get. in any circumstance. They never lose those. And along the way, they can search and get more pieces of gear. Or you can play a campaign mode where you play through multiple scenarios, and any treasure that you walk away from can help you to acquire new and more potent gear for your next attack. Of course, the enemies get more powerful as well. Alright, so that's how the dice work, that's how the altar dice work, that's how my cards work. Now, every round I will get to draw another card. I can also waste an action and draw another card if I'm really tapped out, but hopefully won't have to do that. And the enemies really dictate how the flow of the game goes. So, my first enemy are the Frocks. And they are the monster race that I am going to have to contend against. They represent hordes and hordes and hordes of these monsters that inhabit the section of dungeon and do the bidding of their boss, which in this case is Bulks. Now, I could have switched up the villain to somebody else who is not a Frox, but it just seems thematically appropriate. And I have all of their little miniatures off to one side. I've picked 3 of each type of the minions because I don't expect to face throngs and throngs by myself. And the Frocks, hailing from the swamp Isle of Graced, the various Frox clans have a long history of infighting. These frog-like creatures are bred into violence and seek only to wreck and ruin. So they're fun. The Frocks are a menace, and every time one of their Frocks ends up dealing damage to me from a threat card, then I get a threat token. And if I try to heal, I, instead of healing a point of damage, lose one of those threat tokens. So they represent damage that just does not go away because of the poison, toxicity, etc., etc. So that's pretty nasty. Wouldn't have been as much of a deal if I was playing with the healer, who can heal in abundance, but in this case it's going to be tough. Now, also, we have to deal with Bulks the Belch Lord. And this is one of the things that really can push the difficulty up over the edge. Now, Bulks is huge and violent. He is I'm not going to read the whole card, but he's a huge, nasty threat. And his specialty, the Belch Lord, is he has mastered his excretions. His gaseous emissions and his various disgusting things that he can puke up are basically what are going to bedevil me through this whole thing. Inspiring different tests and things that I'm going to have to overcome if I want to be able to survive this. Not having any armor is going to make this quite difficult, so I'm a little nervous, but we'll see how this goes. We'll certainly try our best. And every round, he gets to activate his ability. Every hero has to either discard a focus card or a supply card, or a supply token. So that means that I'm constantly going to be drained by this creature until it's dead. Well, hopefully that isn't going to... hopefully he won't even get into the game. And if there's water magic lying around, then I have to discard a supply or suffer damage, which sucks, because that gets through any protections anyhow. So that's his special ability, and I have to bear that in mind whenever when his turn rolls around. Then I have the quest. The quest is the search, and the description of this quest is as follows. Since their appearance, the altars have attracted more than just power-hungry schemers and vile monsters. Legendary artifacts that have remained hidden from the world for centuries are also drawn toward the magic that emanates from the altars. It is a common belief that all relics and enchanted weapons were originally empowered by the hidden altars. You cannot leave these items to be found by evil forces. So basically, I'm looking for a MacGuffin that is going to be hidden on the altar. To find it, this is the mechanic. First of all, from the feature deck, which is the odd item that is in each room that kind of helps to tell the story. They've been arranged in a particular way so that the altar card is the first, second, or third card from the bottom. I basically picked 2 others at random and shuffled them all together. They're at the bottom. So I'm going to have to explore quite a bit before I get to the altar. Also, those features have to be searched to find clues to where on the altar this is hidden. To do that, I have to stand next to the altar and actually go through and search it. If I'm next to it at the end of the round, I get to draw a clue card. Some of them are dangerous. And if I get a clue,
then I have to make tests every round because they are actually working against me as well. But if I can get 2 clues that match and get to the end of the altar, then I can successfully win. I don't have to beat the villains. I don't have to beat anything, although I may end up having to do so just to keep the damage down. So, those are the decisions that I made. That's the choices that we have. We have our tokens are all at the back of the board, just because this takes up so much space. I probably should have ran them down the side here, but well, we'll make do. My threat zone is right here next to my deck of cards. My statistics card and my equipment are right down here for me to play. Normally I would have these turn tokens that I would use, but since it's just me, I'm not really too worried about that. Now we do have the Kickstarter pack, but we're not using any of that for this. I just want to show how the base game is played for you without a lot of extra frou-frou. The extra stuff is very nice, however. If you have a chance to get it along with this set, there's some very nice things in there, including miniatures for all of the various traps, different colored dice to make it a little easier to tell what the different elements are for the altar dice, a variety of extra characters, threats, and villains, and even more features that you can mix and match to fill out your game board. It also has an entirely different game board, so if you're tired of looking at this one after a while, you can switch to a different style. It's not as colorful, but it is a little bit different. So we're going to go and start. The heroes go first, and they get 3 actions. I start here on these stairs in this room. The rooms have their own special features. For instance, they all have this section called the feature space, which shows where any features in the room are going to be located. The staircase gets situated on one such feature space in the room, and the room along the edges have doorways. Those are the white rectangles in the middle of the doors. If I go through one of those, I take one of these door frames out to show that I've unlocked that door. That means that monsters and I can go through that then. When I do that, it unlocks the dangers that are inherent in that room. Also, each room has a shadow space. It looks like a crack in the floor, and it is a place where the monsters spawn from. So if I open up a room, the monsters are going to spawn from that space. If there are multiple characters, then they get multiple threats every time you draw, and they would all be clustered around that shadow zone to start with. So, it's an interesting mechanic. I'm going to start this off by going first. Now, one of the actions I can take is a move. I can move up to 3 spaces. I need to open up a door so I can begin my search. So, I'm going to go 1, 2, and I'm going to open the door. Now, I get up to 3 spaces with a move, so I still have another space left. But we're going to resolve this first. The very first thing we do is we pull a feature card to find out what's in the room. What eye-catching thing would immediately attract your attention, and we have a weapon rack. The weapon rack is arranged in the feature space. Now the weapon rack has an ability. If I'm next to the weapon rack, I automatically deal 1 point of damage to an enemy in that room. So I can whip weapons at them. The feature card goes in the quest area, which is going to help tell the story of what we're doing and also provide more challenges, as you will see. Also, because I did that, I draw a quest card. This reveals a little bit of how the story advances with this new room. This is Potential Ambush. Something isn't right. The feeling of being watched increases with every step, and with every turn comes more and more dark corners. Too many places for an ambush, but not enough reasons to turn around now. The search must continue. I attach this card to the room's feature. After drawing threat cards, I also get to test against agility with a difficulty of 3. Each hero who fails must activate the drawn threat. So, we will put that here. And also, to activate it, this happens every round. A hero adjacent to the attached feature may draw a card from the clue deck. When the hero takes control of a clue card, discard this card. So, that brings us to the next step, drawing a threat card. So, we draw one from the Frox deck. And we have Muck Stakes,
which are going to be represented by this little bear trap token that we've got. And this goes in the space closest to the character, that's me. Now they have a trigger, that is if I get close to them with a range of 1, they can inflict 4 damage resisted by fortitude. I'll show you how that works in a second. If I can interact with them, it's an agility check to interact to try to disarm the trap. And when it activates as a threat, everybody in the room gains a threat token, which again stops you from healing, and must resist against Fortitude 3. If there are no characters in the room, then this card gets discarded and you draw a new threat card. So that's fun. So I really want to get rid of that at the nearest possible opportunity. And I'm going to unfortunately end up having to take damage from it, almost certainly. So, also, finishing up the quest card, after drawing the threat cards, I have to test versus agility with a difficulty of 3. If I fail, then I activate the threat. So, this is kind of funny because I'm not in the room yet. So, I test versus my agility. My character has a 2 in agility, which means I take 2 of these dice, and I roll. And I have a success, and a focus. Now, I don't have any focus points at the moment, so that isn't going to count as 2 successes. That's just 1. That means that I fail that test, which activates the threat. The threat being, every character in the room, I'm not in the room yet, gains 1 threat token. Okay, I don't have to worry about that. And must resist. If there are no characters in the room, I draw a threat card and I discard this card. So this is gone. I guess the ambush just wasn't appropriate for a trap. I'm okay with that. I didn't really like that anyhow. So we'll get rid of that and we'll draw another threat. See what happens. This is a Frox Muckslinger. Now the Frox Muckslinger is a little frog guy with a blowgun. That's what he looks like. He's fun. He will appear in the shadow space of the room. So he pops up there. His nastiness is he can attack up to 5 spaces away, and he can move 5 spaces. It takes 5 points of damage to finish him off, and he ignores the first point of damage that he would take. But when he activates, he attacks against agility for 4 points of damage. And remember, if he damages me, I get a threat token. But if he's unable to engage, then everybody within range gets a threat token. So, yeah. Alright. So, and also using water magic, he can engage everybody within a threat token. He can engage, and each character with a threat token suffers 1 point of damage. So we definitely do not like the idea of getting water magic with these guys. And we're going to test real quick to see what the magic in the area is. We'll roll that right away. Should have rolled it before, but we're okay. So we've got a mixed bag. 1 darkness, 1 water, 1 air, 1 fire, and 1 earth. So yeah, that's good. Okay, so we would take the 3rd step of into the room. Trap token is gone since that threat is no more. And instead we've got this thing that we're looking at. So, now he's too far away for the Harpy Talons, which are just a hand-to-hand attack. And we have a variety of cards. The Searing Blast, for instance, is kind of fun. It would allow us to use fire and attack using our intelligence. During it, I can reduce the target's defense by 1, which would give him no defense at all. So all damage that I would do would go straight through and hurt him. I kind of like that as an option. So I'm going to first of all blast him with a Searing Blast. Now, I can test versus intelligence, which rolls 3 dice. I also can spend the point of fire magic, rolling it again, to deal 1 damage to each enemy within range, which is going to be him. And I got water, which is unfortunate. We don't like water. But I'm going to deal 1 point of damage to him. Dealing damage gets through any defense, so I can take one of these points of damage and put it right on his card to show that he's taken that damage. Now I only have to deal 4 points of damage to kill him. Now I roll 3 dice because I have an intelligence of 3. It's not modified by this spell. And with 0 defense, I still could potentially kill him if I get a critical success. We're going to hope. Alright, so this is what we get. We get 1 focus die. It's kind of unfortunate. 1 critical success, and 1 success and a focus die. So, I'm going to re-roll the critical. Right now we have 2 success and 2 focus. And I'm going to roll the critical die to get another success and a focus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend this focus to turn one of those focuses into a success. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4 points of damage. So these 2, the 1 from the critical success, and I'm going to turn this focus die into a success using my 1 focus point. That's going to deal the 4 points of damage that I need to do to kill that Frox. Now because there's 2 focus left over from these multi-dice, I'm going to have a net gain of 1 focus. So I end up with 2 focus. The Frox is dead, so he's going to die from that searing blast that I inflicted on him, which is good. Because I vanquished a foe, I get a supply token. Supply tokens represent the stuff that your character carries around with them. That can be very useful. You can stop and use your stuff to heal 2 points of damage. You can use them to modify by giving you an extra die to roll, but only 1 supply per test. Yeah, they can be very, very useful. They can also be given to other people, and they're kept as a pool. They're not the property of any one player. So if I was playing with multiple people, that could be useful. So the Frox is now dead. That was 2, and that was my second action. My third one will be to go here so that I am adjacent to the weapon rack. Alright, so that is my turn. Now my spell goes into the discards, but I'm going to keep it handy because I have the ability to recall spells from the discard, so we'll just keep it there. Now that is the end of my turn, so I draw another card. And this is Invigorate. Play this on a hero within range. To use it, move up to 3 spaces, roll up to 2 altar dice, and draw a card. I can also exhaust air magic, and I can draw another card. So that's pretty handy, actually. That'll help me scooch through this dungeon pretty fast. Alright, that is the end of my turn, however. So, now that my turn is over, it would pass on to the next player, but there isn't any. So next goes the threat phase. And look, I have no threats in my threat zone. So because that Frox is dead, I have nothing to fear. Well, that's not true, but I don't have the Frox to worry about. So, with that, I then draw I go to the villain section. Now, of course, remember, the villain requires us to discard a focus. Yes, I must do it. And since there's water magic, I wasn't able to get rid of that. He rerolls, and that becomes air. I must discard 1 supply or suffer 1 damage. That's unfortunate. I kind of wanted that supply, but I will sacrifice it because I don't want to start taking damage. That's the villain's turn. Now is the quest phase. Okay, so as far as the quest goes, the very first one is the description, which sets things into motion. Activating it, each hero who controls a clue card must either discard 1 focus for each clue card they control or resist 3 intelligence, which I'm very good at. If there is a quest token on this card, each hero must draw a threat card. Okay, there's no threat token, or there's no quest token on here. And yeah, so we are done with that. The next section, activating the weapon rack. I am adjacent to it, but there's no enemies in the room, so I don't have to worry about that. And the final thing, activating the quest. Each hero adjacent to the attached feature may draw a card from the hero, or a hero. So I could draw a clue card. I got Sense of Dread. I may resist Willpower 4 to discard this card. Look at the bottom 2 cards of the clue deck, choose one to resolve, and shuffle the other back to the clue deck. Otherwise, discard this card and draw a card. I don't really care what clues come up. This would be useful if I was looking to make sure that I could get the clue that I needed, because you have to match 2 clues for this. So I don't need to actually resist anything for this. I could just draw another card. So the Sense of Dread passes, and I found Ripped Fabric. A hero may take control of this card. I will do so, because I need it to win. While adjacent to the altar, you may discard this card along with a matching copy of Ripped Fabric to place 1 quest token on the quest rule card. And that is what allows you to get out of the game. Now, if there were multiple players in this, you would have to... everybody would have to have a pair of clues, so for every player. In this case, I just have to find another piece of Ripped Fabric. This could go really easy, or this could be very difficult. We'll see. Okay, so that takes care of everything in the quest phase, and it now is my turn. Now, back to me, I would unexhaust everything, which means untap it. I don't have anything exhausted at the moment, so that's fine. Oh, and by the way, that Ripped Fabric goes into my threat area. It really doesn't do anything but trigger the effect of the quest card, but again, it's good to keep tabs on. Alright, so it's my turn again. Now I could search the weapon rack. It's a test against strength to search it. I roll 1 die for strength. I'm not strong. So it's not necessarily in my best interest to do that. It won't hurt, and I would almost assuredly get me a clue card, or it would get me a search card, but I'd rather spend my efforts on greener pastures. So instead, I will go 1. You can go on a diagonal, that still counts as 1 space. 2, and I'm going to open this door. Okay. And then we repeat the process. Again, we draw the feature for the room. What is in here? This is the bookshelf. This is a lucky one for a spellcaster. The bookshelf, which is pretty cool. Very nice. It's pretty deep, too. But that goes right here in the middle of the room. So, with the bookshelf, when it activates, a hero adjacent to it draws a card. More cards is more ammunition for a spellcaster. That's very good. I can interact with it and search it using my intelligence, which is the best possible scenario. For each supply gained during this test, I get to choose a hero to draw a card, which might really fill me up on cards. I'll show you the searching thing in a moment when I get to that point, but that's only the first step. We also draw another quest card to see what attaches to this. And this is... Oh yes, also, because I found the quest card, this quest card is discarded from the weapon rack. Next is Prepared Defenders. Even before pushing the door open, you hear sounds of preparation and battle shouts. The rattle of weapons or armor soon follow. The advantage is lost. However, there's nothing to do but continue on. The search is far from over. When revealed, I attach this to the room's feature card. Each enemy drawn when revealing this room gains 2 armor tokens, which basically counts as a blade of armor, 2 points of damage that I have to chew through to kill whatever threat may be in this room. Now, hopefully that would be another trap. That would be great, because traps don't get armor. That would be perfect. So, there's that, and now I draw the threat for the room. Oh, muck stakes, again. I'm not complaining. The muck stakes go again into the room right next to the bookcase. And they don't get armor tokens, so we're fine. This one, again, needs to be eliminated with agility, which, yeah, not real fond of that, but we'll have to get through this. All right. So what I'm going to do, that was 1, 2, and I'm in here on 3. I'm then going to cast Invigorate. I can play this on myself. It allows me to move up to 3 spaces, which means I'm going to move next to the bookshelf, but right also next to the trap, which will trigger it, but we'll take care of that in a second. I can roll up to 2 altar dice. We'll roll the air and the water, trying to get rid of water as much as we can, and it left us with darkness and air, which is fine. Nothing for the froggies to use. And I get to draw a card. So basically, this did not cost me a card. Also, I can spend a point of air to draw another card. And that became water. Oh, darn it. All right, so I discard this, and I draw 2 cards. And I get Wind Chill, which is an intelligence attack, and I can exhaust a minion within range. It can hit up to 5 spaces away. Exhausting basically freezes them for a round so they can't do anything. And I have an Orb of Seeking. It allows me to use my intelligence in a search test. Then I get to choose a hero to draw a card. So I can give myself another card. I can also spend a Radiance mana, which I don't have, to discard 1 search token from a feature card. That makes it so I can search it over again. That's something I very much would like to do where I'm at. Now, because I moved next to that trap, I have to deal with that. And its trigger inflicts 4 against my fortitude. I have a fortitude of 2, and it's going to deal 4 damage to me, which is unfortunate. So I rolled 2 successes. Means I'm going to take 2 points of damage. I have no resistance to that. And it also means, unfortunately, I have to take a threat token on. So it'll slow down my healing. That is, again, unfortunate. So, my last action, though, I can attempt to get rid of those muck stakes, which I would very much like to do. So I can interact using agility. I have 2 dice for that. This is unfortunately where I don't have the Halfling Thief, who is brilliant at getting rid of these things, but I can't do it. Yep, I have no magics that are really going to help me. And so we're just going to do our best. 2 dice. Who knows? Critical success here and there, and we can get rid of this in 1 shot. I have 2 successes. That means I get 2 progress tokens against that, which means it's halfway disarmed. So there's that. But that, unfortunately, is the end of my turn. So, I draw another card. Runic Insight. It's a test against agility, or willpower. For each success, I can change an altar die to a result of my choice, and I can gain a focus if I spend air magic. So that's okay. Alright, now threat tokens. There's those muck stakes. So, when it activates, each hero in the room gains a threat token. Ow. That's unfortunate. And must resist against 3 damage through fortitude. I have 2, so we need a little help. If there are no characters in the room, then draw a threat card. That doesn't matter. Okay, we need a critical success. We got a critical success, and we got another success. Rolling 1 more. That's a focus. I will spend a focus to get a 3rd success, so I take no damage from that, and I don't take another threat token, which is good. That is it for the threats. Now comes the villain. So the villain, would spend a water, and he has that. I don't have a focus or a supply at this point, so he forces me to discard supply, which I don't have, or he inflicts a point of damage on me, which he does. I can't stop that damage. I'm already badly hurt just to start out. This is an unfortunate set of circumstances. And then he draws a card. Concealing Flatulence. Each minion gains 2 armor tokens. Each hero with no minion in their threat area must draw a lurker card. Great! Another enemy. Just what we needed. And that is a Crimson Courtier. He's a vampire. He has a point of damage reduction. He has a range of 6. He attacks using Charisma. Ow. And he can move up to 4 spaces, so he is pretty nasty. And let's see, where is he? That is you. And he goes in the Darkness Zone. All right. Well, that's a thing that's happened. Okay, back to the villain is done. Now the quest section. I have a clue card now, so I have to either discard a focus. I don't have any focus. So what I have to do is resist against 3 intelligence. Well, I am intelligent, so I roll 3 dice. I have a pretty good chance of getting through this. I have 2 successes, a focus. One of those successes is a critical, so I re-roll that, and that's a total of 4 successes, so that doesn't happen, and I get a point of focus. Alright. Good. Good. I'm not by the weapon rack, so that doesn't happen. I am next to the bookshelf, however, and that interacts. Or activates, I should say. A hero adjacent to it draws a card. I will draw another card. Good. Wind Chill. That is another intelligence attack that can exhaust a minion using water magic. Alright. That's a way that I can get rid of water magic, so that's a good thing. Alright, so that also, because I am there and it activates in the quest round, I can draw another card from the clue deck. If it's Rip Fabric, I will be very happy. It is not. It is Toxic Gas. You may resist against 4 fortitude to discard this card, look at the bottom 2 cards of the clue deck, choose to resolve, and shuffle the other back into the deck. Otherwise, discard this card and heal 1 damage. We'll do that. I like the idea of healing the damage, which unfortunately does not heal the damage. It takes off one of those threat tokens, though. I would much rather have healed the damage, but, yeah, we're there. Alright, that's the end of the quest phase, so we can move onward. Scooch things over a little bit because it's gonna get crowded over here. Alright, it is my turn again. Back to the start, everything on exhaust. I didn't exhaust anything, so we're good. So, I now have the Crimson Courtier in the room. I have a half finished off Muck Stakes. I only have 1 point of focus. And I have not searched the chest, or the bookshelf yet. So, what I'm going to do is... let's see. Well, I will use a feat. My feat of Runic Insight. And what that allows me to do is I can test against my willpower +1. For every success, I can change 1 altar die to a result of my choice, and I can choose 1 card in my discard pile to place on the top of my deck. And, using air magic, I can gain 1 focus and draw a card. So I will do that, certainly. And that's fire magic. I will gain a focus for doing that. So, I'm going to change 1 altar die to a die of my choice. I'm going to choose, in this case, well, I don't need this earth, so we're going to change that to water. This is setting myself up, though. I'm going to take the Searing Blast out of my discards, because that's a good attack. I'm going to put it back on top of my deck. And then I will draw the card as the spell out. Oh, look at that. It's a Searing Blast. Nothing wrong with that. And that, oh yeah, I have to do this test, don't I? Yes, I do. I have a 2 willpower and an extra die because of the spell. And that's for every success I get to change the... Maybe I'll get some focus, too. I have 1, 2, 3 successes and a focus. So I get another focus point. Focus comes and focus goes. However, I don't really need to change more than that 1 die. I really don't feel that strongly against the negative magic. I suppose I can do something with Radiant. I thought there was a card here. Yeah. To use the Orb of Seeking, that would allow me to draw a card, to search using my intelligence, and discarding a search token from a feature. Yeah, okay. So we're going to change one of these darkness to light. Okay, so that sets up the magic exactly the way that I wanted, which is good. Good. All right. So that was not even an action. That's a feat. Feats don't take up an action, which is good. I also have... We're not going to do that. Okay. We have the means to blast that vampire. I kind of want to do it. But I also really want to get rid of that trap. So I'm going to roll on that first. I need 2 successes to finish it off using my agility. And my agility is a 2, so I'm going to roll that right off. And that's 2 successes. That's 2 that will finish off the muck stakes. Good. I didn't want them anyhow. And now also, since that muck stakes is gone, I get a supply for finishing that off. And that's good. I have a feeling I'm going to need that. Now, I've used the Runic Insight. That's 1. 2. I'm going to use my Searing Blast to blow up that vampire. Yes. I have fire magic. Yes, I do. Actually, no. I don't really feel the need to use my big spell yet. I think I'm just going to use Wind Chill on him. Yeah. We use Wind Chill. That is an intelligence attack, so I'm still going to use 3 dice. Might still finish him off if I get some lucky rolls. But I can spend this mana, this blue, this water element, which becomes earth, to exhaust him. So he's going to be tapped. He won't be able to do anything this round. Now I roll my 3 dice for the attack. 1 of them is ignored because of his defense. So that is 2 points of damage that he's going to take, and he's exhausted. Good. So I have attacked. I got rid of the trap. Now I'm going to search. 3 dice to search. Search through the... Yeah. Versus my intelligence. So that's 3 dice. I'm going to search this bookshelf. And that is 1 focus die, 1 success, and 1 success and a focus. I am going to spend 2 of my focus to turn both of those focus results into a success. That gives me 1, 2, 3, 4 successes. Now, when you get successes on a search test, 2 things happen. First of all, you draw a search card. Second of all, you get a supply token for every one beyond the first. So I got 3 supply for that really good roll. And the card that I drew, a Potion of Healing. Choose a character to heal 3 damage with a range of 2. So I can use that to heal myself, which is good. Now, that is the last action that I had, but also, because I'm searching the bookshelf, I can supply, and I could choose a, for every supply gained during this test, I can choose a hero to draw a card. Well, I drew 3 supply, so that means I will choose myself and draw 3 more cards. I have a huge hand size now. This is great. So what I can do... No, that's okay. We have fire magic. We do have fire magic. We're going to do this. We're going to use Reclaimed Knowledge. So, it's a test against intelligence with a difficulty of 3. 1, 2, and 1 success, or 2 successes and 1 focus. I will spend my focus to get 3 successes on that. And if passed, I can either return 1 spell card from your discard pile to my hand, or I can choose a hero to draw a card. I have some decent spells, but I only have Wind Chill as a spell, or Invigorate. Invigorate is okay, but nah. I would rather draw the card. And I got, Quake. It's an attack using Fortitude. This attack targets every enemy within the room. Nice. And if with Earth Magic, I can move each figure in my room up to 2 spaces each. It's cool. Okay. Also, because I spent the Fire Magic, I can search through my deck for 1 spell card that I want. Rerolling that. Oh, it's water. That's unfortunate. Okay, so that gets discarded. I can search for 1 spell card that I want. I already kind of know what I want. So we are going to... That goes right into my hand, then I reshuffle. What I drew was a Searing Blast with a +1 die of damage. It is the most potent of the Searing Blasts. I believe it also allows me to ignore 2 points of defense. Yeah. So that is something that I can use to even attack the boss if he should show up. And he might. He might. Alright, so that's a great attack. And I can use that to burn just about anything. Got range of 5, but it's an attack during deal 2 damage to an enemy within range, so a point of fire deals an extra point of damage. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay. So, that was that. Now, the threat. Well, he was exhausted, so he becomes unexhausted, but he can't do anything to me. Oh yeah, I forgot to draw a card for the end of my round. I now have a thick stack of cards in my hand. Quella is the one who can really do that. The other ones don't have as many opportunities for drawing cards as she does, but yeah, she becomes the master of having a huge hand. Next comes the villain. Yeah. And we have... each hero must discard a focus or discard a supply. I have to discard a supply. No choice about that. Yes. And there is water magic, so he's going to use that water magic. And he gets fire. Each hero must either discard 1 supply or take a point of damage. I don't want to take any more damage, so I'm going to lose another point of supply to this loathsome frog. Alright. Next. I've got 2 points of supply left. So, each hero who controls a clue card, which I do, must discard a focus. I don't have any focus, or I have to take a resist against intelligence. 3 points. My resist, 1, 2, 3 successes, negates it. Yay. Alright, so that's good. Also, I'm still next to the bookshelf, and it activates, so I draw another card. This one is another Invigorate, so I can scooch all around the battlefield. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cards in my hand right now. Many of them are attacks. I am fully loaded.